really even different for people who have been here for the last 30 years, but we are coping. I think spring will soon be starting.
Oh, that's nice to know.
Yes, the temperature is improving. I think right now we have like -3, but it has been around -12. Yes.
Hi, Nijola Dhoga.
Hello,
Uh-huh.
everybody.
Let everyone just join and then we'll start. Hello, Raina.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I'm fine too. Thank you for asking.
I'm the only one in that I entered the reunion, right?
No, we have other two participants who have joined, Marcella and Nijola.
Okay.
Okay, before I think it's almost the time, so let's start with our online conference. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our distinguished participants joining us from different parts of the world. On behalf of Eurasia Research, I warmly welcome you to the Amsterdam Online Live International Conference held on 20th February 2026. It is truly a pleasure to see researchers, academicians, scholars, and students from various countries gathered together on one global platform to share knowledge and innovation ideas. Today's conference brings together experts from diverse disciplines, and we are excited to begin this intellectual journey with insightful discussions, meaningful engagement, and global collaboration. Before we begin, I would like to share a few important instructions. Kindly ensure your Zoom name is renamed to your full name for attendance purpose. Please keep your microphones muted during presentations. You may post your questions in the chat section. Each presentation will be limited to 10 to 15 minutes, and certificates and receipts will be shared via email within 2 to 3 days. Moving forward, please allow me a moment to introduce Eurasia Research in a nutshell.
If you believe you can move the highest mountains, cross the greatest oceans, and walk across the water, you feel defeated, falling on your knees and looking up for some hope tonight. You try to stand up, but you throw your hands up. You no longer have the strength to fight. You've seen too many sunsets, too many days ending in the darkest night. But on your own, you'll never know, you'll never know. If you believe you move the highest mountains, across the greatest oceans, walk across the water. Believe you can move the highest mountains, across the greatest oceans, walk across the water. If you believe, they say that all you need is faith. but it's almost like you lost your way. Took a few wrong turns, took a few breaks, falling behind now, looking for grace. Cause you need someone to lift you up, yeah, make right of the things you've done. Cause on your own, you'll you'll never know. If you move the highest mountains, cross the greatest oceans, walk across the water, the water. Believe you can move the highest mountains, cross the greatest oceans, walk across the water. If you believe, if you believe. You can do anything, you can do anything, you can do anything if you believe. If you believe you can move the highest mountains, cross the greatest oceans, walk across the water, the water. Believe you can move the highest mountains, cross the greatest oceans, walk across the water. If you believe.
Welcome to Eurasia Research International Conference. Please allow me a moment to introduce Eurasia Research to you in a nutshell. With over more than 1 million satisfied members and associates spread across the globe, Eurasia Research is a scholarly association who have been working for nearly a decade. Eurasia Research has organized several successful international conferences, workshops, and training programs at various reputed institutions and grand venues. Eurasia has been tirelessly working for research world and have not stopped their endeavors even during difficult times and have presented research community with online platform which was safe and convenient method to continue their passion. We are an international community of researchers, practitioners, students, and educationists who aim to bring together worldwide researchers and professionals, encourage intellectual development, and to create opportunities for networking and collaborations. These objectives are achieved through academic networking meetings, conferences, workshops, projects, research, publications, academic awards, and scholarships. Some of our key highlights: we provide scholarships to deserving candidates to promote students and research scholars to participate in the international conference. Young Researcher Scholarship is provided in a form of a full registration fee waiver. We have a vast experience of publishing papers from more than 7 years. Our associated journals publish original papers, review papers, conceptual framework, analytical and simulation models, case studies, empirical research, technical notes, and book reviews. We cater to more than 30 plus themes in the area of teaching and education and have registered ISSN and have following renowned indexings: Google Scholar, Crosscheck, Authenticate, Crossref, the Keepers Registry, Scribd, Portico, Road Directory of Open Access Scholarly Resources, OAIPMH, Registered Data Provider, PKP Index, and we will soon be applying for Scopus too. We have a wide network of 100 plus internationally acclaimed keynotes across the globe who share their knowledge and guidance with our participants with open hands. We have a large number of committee members, advisors who support us and guide us through their expert opinions and decision-making capabilities. We couldn't have thought of reaching here without them. We also encourage our participants to connect with more than 15K plus followers on our social media platform, where they can share their research and interest. Join our Facebook group and be a part of the discussions by researchers and academicians. We have several collaborations with universities, colleges, and institutes to better serve all interested and like minded intellectuals. With great enthusiasm and pride, we would like to request our participants to enjoy the benefits of our lifetime membership in just USD 60. We have over 10,000 plus members from across the globe, and we would like to share some of our past participants' experience with you. Thank you for your patience and valuable time. Moving forward with the conference. I hope my screen is visible to all our participants. Welcome to Eurasia Research International Amsterdam Online Live Conference on 28th February 2026. Today's participants. Today we have presenters and participants from 7 countries around the world. We are broadcasting this conference on YouTube live on multiple pages of Eurasia Research. The links for the live sessions are shared in the chat box. Hello everyone, I am Sheenu Seni, your host for today's online live conference. Our Terra President, Dr. Lynn M. Shelley. She is a higher education executive, retired adjunct professor from Boston College, Chestnut Hill, MA, USA. And let's see what she has to share with us.
My name is Dr. Lynn Shelley, and I'm an executive leadership consultant, full professor retired. I am currently teaching adjunct in the executive doctoral program at Boston College in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, and at the University of New England in Portland, Maine, in their doctoral program as well. I've been in the profession for 44 years as a teacher and as an administrator from grades pre-K through doctoral programs. And I consult with colleagues around the world in these areas of leadership and culture building and transformation and strategic planning. And my research is focused in areas such as that, not only in education, but crosses over into other disciplines that have common goals and common strategies that need attention and need to be moved forward in this ever-changing global world.
So, ma'am, the first question, we would love to hear about your research journey, how it's going, and the projects you are handling right now.
My research, my name is Dr. Lynn Shelley. I'm president of the Eurasia Terra group, and I'm very happy to be here. I have been doing some research and starting some writing about the leadership in this new global environment, transformative leadership in the new global environment that we are living in, and hoping that this research will help current and future leaders at every level in any type of an organization. It's very interesting because of the AI connection, because of the global impact that the cultures and the variables that are happening around the world are having on every organization.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing such delightful thought. And ma'am, my next question would be, could you please share with which paper you're working on that in this moment?
Transformative leadership and in a global environment.
Okay, ma'am, good to know that. And ma'am, how do you manage to balance your teaching responsibilities alongside your research work as well?
Well, my balance is that I've always done work and research that I can use and apply to my administrative and consulting positions. Right now, I am an executive leadership consultant. So the research that I'm doing really applies to my role as president of Terra, but also in work that I do with colleagues that are still in practice, and I can help them along the way to enhance their leadership skills.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And ma'am, do you travel internationally as part of your research work?
I travel to the Terra conferences as the president, and usually I do a keynote. I've been in education for 44 years, every level. Most recently, the Dean of Graduate and Professional Education at LaSalle University in Newton, Massachusetts, United States. And prior to that, I was Dean of Professional Leadership Programs at Endicott College in Beverly, Massachusetts, United States. And my main travel was with Eurasia Terra as the president and keynote speakers. So that's what I have done. I've also done other conferences, but once I became president, I felt like I needed to really give my focus to the organization, to Eurasia Terra, and to be able to impact around the world. Most recently, I sat on a dissertation committee at Boston College, Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, with a vice president from a university in Russia.
Okay.
And she was trying, her dissertation was focused on changing culture to adapt to the global world. And Olga did a fantastic job. And of course, when I have those kinds of opportunities, I talk about this wonderful organization so that we get a presence around the world.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for sharing the details with us. And ma'am, my last question would be, what advice would you give to early career researchers, like the beginners, and what advice would you like to give them?
The advice is multifaceted. I think that there are several things that they have to keep at the forefront of their minds. That research that they do should always be something that can impact their work, their organization, and or the world. So it has to be current. So to that point, they have to be proactive in where they're focusing their research and knowing what's happening in the world all the time in their certain professions, if you will. They have to add, they have to value add to their professions. So that would be very important. They have to have an open mind that their research, especially if it's quantitative, might not necessarily bear out the results that they want. And that's okay, because that shows what really is impacting their work and their organizations and the world. And the third thing that I would do is have them network with people and colleagues like myself and other people doing work, not necessarily in their own professions, but if it's a crossover kind of focus for research that crossovers different professions, that they network and become familiar and have standing meetings with other researchers because that can be so rich and can help people so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving the advice, and it will be very helpful for them.
I would say a lot of advantages rather disadvantages. I would start with the disadvantages then. I would say like the lack of in-person interaction is something that I miss when presenting online, because casual conversations and spontaneous collaboration are harder to replicate in virtual settings, right? Presenting face to face.
Moving forward with our eminent speaker, Paulina Moya Santagos. She is her PhD in Education Department of Culture, Communication and Media Institute of Education, University College London, United Kingdom. Let's see what she has to share with us.
Other disadvantages, I would start with the disadvantages then. I would say like the lack of in-person interaction is something that I miss when presenting online, because casual conversations and spontaneous collaborations are harder to replicate in virtual settings, right? Presenting face to face reduces, of course, the technological issues. For example, now I am experiencing a technological issue, and this could be replicated in online presenting too. And yeah, that I would say that's those are two disadvantages. But there are many advantages that I'd like to address very briefly. Basically, the accessibility and inclusivity, because, and also the effectiveness, because both are related. So online conferences remove geographical barriers, right? So they make easier for us from around the world to attend these conferences. And without the need for travel, accommodation and other expenses, of course, that we can afford taking part in different conferences more often. There's a flexibility in scheduling, so we can participate or we can attend certain presentations based on our schedule or based on our busy day. We are reducing environmental impact because we travel less, so we use fewer airplanes, and also because I think it's a great opportunity for networking. Absolutely. I would wholeheartedly encourage my friends and colleagues to attend an online conference. And I did that during the pandemic too. These conferences offer many benefits that make them valuable, and it is an accessible platform for academic engagement and knowledge exchange, right? So I will repeat some of the others. So they are cost-effective. There's more access to possibilities to attend these conferences is they are more inclusive, because some people who might have some special educational needs can use different technological devices to translate, for example, what the presenter is saying. They can be more prepared at home. Also, yeah, these are very related to the previous one, but I think that we need to adapt to changing circumstances, especially when we are related in research and education. So I would say that embracing online conferences not only demonstrates our resilience, but also our willingness to keep involved with changing circumstances, and our desire, our honest desire to have a positive impact in the world, in the academic world. Well, I need to say that I'm very, very happy with the TERA, TERA, the Teaching and Education Research Association. This is my third or fourth time presenting in one of your congresses. And I like it very much because it fosters academic excellence and collaboration. You have been so nice to me every time that I have questions or that I've faced some issues. I strongly believe that you are a well-organized conference. You planned everything in detail, and you also give time to reflect upon our own presentations. I always find it interesting to attend to some of your congresses because it's interesting research. So the quality of research presented was exceptional. It was inspiring too, especially for me, considering that I come from a very different background, thinking of South America, Chile, right? I liked that you provided me with a leaflet or a summary book when where all the abstracts were there. So I think that was a thoughtful touch. And that's good because sometimes when you attend conferences, they want to give you like a summary of abstracts or the information of presenters. So it's more likely that you would forget. But with this in your mind, you would go back to read the summary and find the name of the researcher and the study that caught your attention. You also always select engaging topics to discuss. It's a strong networking opportunity to interact with fellow academics for diverse backgrounds. And I can see that you are committed to academic development, so that's why I keep participating in your Congress. And you are genuine. I think that your commitment is honest in terms of promoting intellectual growth, knowledge dissemination, and all the advancement possible in the field of teaching and education.
Thank you, Paulina, for sharing such a wonderful thoughts
Reshape
with
the
us.
economy, drive global change. Study BSc Honors in Economics at PES University. Our program merges economic theory with data science applications. Admissions 2026 open. Apply today.
Moving forward, our conference schedule. Session 1, keynote talk from 6:45 to 7:30 a.m. UTC. Session 2, team activity and photo session from 7:30 to 7:45 a.m. GMT. Session 3, technical talk 7:45 onwards. Rename your Zoom account with your full name in English. This will help us to record your presence. You may ask your questions related to the presentation in the chat section while the presentations are going on. All certificates, receipts, and proceedings will be sent to the participants within a week on their mail IDs. The proceedings will include all the full papers and abstracts accepted for the conference. Moving ahead with the publication process. The publication process starts once the registration process is complete. The author needs to send their papers, consent forms, and reviewer details on the email ID, that is convener@eurasiaresearch.info. The abstracts and papers received will be first published in the conference's books of proceedings online. Only the selected papers will be moved in our publication timeline. The review reports will be sent to the author once the review process is over. The final stage of publication starts after receiving the revised papers from the authors. Please note that the publication process takes around 15 to 20 days after the conference dates if all the editorial guidelines are followed within the given deadlines. So today our first keynote speaker is Imen Bosset. She is from English language educator and author, Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Founder, Imen from English Academy, educational initiative currently under development. Her topic is English Beyond Borders, Empowering Women and Children Through Language. Imen is not with us today. I guess just wait, I'll check if she has shared her presentation with us. Imen will join us in some time. So moving ahead with our team activity and photo session. Let's proceed towards our team building activity. Sometimes we miss the opportunity of connection and linkage with the fellow participants of the conference. This team activity is to encourage interaction among all the participants. One by one, we will share the views and solutions on the topic of discussion and also will be conducting a photo session during the same. Topic of discussion. What's the best way to lift people out of poverty? Video and credit and copyrights. Cholin 10.
In 2018, a nonprofit gave every adult in Western Kenya's Aenyo village $500. Most of their families had lived in extreme poverty for generations, and this sum was roughly equivalent to most recipients' annual salaries. Despite all this, the money came with no strings attached outside a commitment to speak with researchers after 2 years. They hoped this influx of cash would lift the villagers out of poverty, but they also knew this could easily be the latest in a long line of failed philanthropic interventions. In the 1960s, charitable organizations began ramping up their philanthropic efforts, spending billions funding education, job training, agricultural development, infrastructure projects, and healthcare programs in attempts to help poor countries. These programs hoped to create a springboard of knowledge and capital that would foster financial independence and bolster struggling economies. But when economists started studying this kind of aid in the late 90s and early 2000s, they made some surprising discoveries. After running various randomized control trials where one group received education or job training and another group did not, the researchers found this kind of aid often had minimal impact. School supplies failed to improve education. Job training didn't always raise incomes, and the benefits of nutrition education varied dramatically from group to group. These disappointing results even extended to newer philanthropic models. At this time, many theorists advocated heavily for microfinance, a model that offered small loans to aspiring entrepreneurs in weak economies. But while microfinance recipients consistently repaid their loans with interest, the programs failed to meaningfully raise their incomes. All these failures led researchers to consider a strategy many considered ridiculous: direct cash giving. Most philanthropists saw this approach as the worst kind of short-sighted philanthropy. They assumed recipients would quickly spend the cash and then end up back where they started. But when researchers returned to Ahenyo 2 years later, the results were astonishing. Business revenues were up 65%. Families saved more and ate more. Kids were doing better in school. There was less alcoholism, depression, domestic violence, and inequality between families. And these impacts weren't unique to Aenyo. Since this study, direct cash giving has become one of the most researched poverty interventions, and it's consistently shown impacts that often exceed traditional aid programs. In fact, a subsequent study spanning hundreds of Kenyan villages found the surrounding economy grew by more than twice what was given out just a year after the cash transfers. However, direct cash giving isn't a silver bullet. Poverty is a generational issue that requires long-term changes to solve. And since this intervention is relatively new, we still don't fully understand the effects of cash giving on extended timelines. For example, a Ugandan study beginning in 2008 found that while a cash transfer improved some families' earnings over the first 4 years, the positive effect disappeared after the next 5 years. Then it returned again under the pressure of the COVID-19 pandemic. Clearly, we still have a lot to learn about how cash giving unfolds over time. But regardless of what we learn in the future, the theory for why direct cash giving works can help change how we think about poverty today. Where traditional aid programs assume that philanthropists have the best knowledge of a community's needs, cash giving programs believe the people experiencing poverty best understand what they need to escape it. For example, perhaps for one person, repairing their home is more important to long-term success than starting a new business. And for another, ensuring their child can finish school might allow them to bring in more money in the future. Fortunately, we can afford this kind of help. Today, wealthy countries spend $200 billion a year in international aid, and philanthropists have $1.5 trillion more sitting in private foundations. We already have the means to eliminate extreme poverty, but doing so will require these institutions to trust the expertise of the people actually living in these conditions. So, how can we design programs that actually help lift people out?
So after watching this team activity video, anybody has any point of views to share with us? Okay, moving forward, I would like everyone to turn on their cameras for the group photo session. Thank you. Just allow me a moment. Thank you everyone for being cooperative. Moving forward, our first presenter is Nijola Dhoga. She's from Department of Political Science, University of Tirana, Albania. Politician, her topic is politicization as an electoral tool, the 2021 Albanian parliamentary elections. Nijola.
Yes, hello everybody. Just a minute so I can share my PowerPoints.
Yes.
Do you see them? Just a minute. No, not
Yes, could
yet.
you just do it full screen?
Do you see my PowerPoints?
Yes.
So politicization is an electoral tool. This paper contributes to the understanding of the politicization in transitional democracies, and my case studies the Albanian 2021 parliamentary elections. I employed qualitative analysis of sources such as international reports, national reports, also Albanian legislation, and media coverage of the electoral campaign. These are anyway some preliminary findings because it is part of a broader ongoing research on the politicization of the Albanian public administration. Looking to the literature, by politicization, Peters and Peer consider the substitution of political criteria for merit-based criteria in the selection, retention, promotion, rewards, and disciplining of members of the public service. This definition resonates with that of Kopensky et al. Party patronage, which considers it the ability of the political parties to appoint individuals to position in the public and semi-public sector. But the definition of Kopetsky is more extensive because it considers the party patronage in both a neutral and a negative connotation. As a neutral view, politicization is used in consolidated democracies as a mean for controlling the state or making the bureaucracy more responsive to the political program and policy implementation purposes. But as a negative feature, it can be considered a clientelistic patronage form as defined by Piattoni, so the instrumental use of position of power to distribute jobs, goods, and other public decisions to partisan supporters in order to maintain and strengthen positions of political power. For this, I've checked the reports related to staff turnover in cases when there have been a change of government, and in Albania, large staff turnovers have occurred frequently when there have been changes of governments, and after the Socialist Party took office in September 2013, according to data from the Albanian Ombudsman, in partially, so only in the central administration, so in ministries, in 12 ministries, there were 4,000, more than 4,000 of employees laid off. Since 2017, when the Socialist Party has been in government alone, the recruitments and dismissals have been more in line with the normal functioning of the administration. However, there have been problems in the law implementation, and mostly at the local level, because some reports from uh, uh, Albanian institutions show that at local level, 14% of the job positions were filled against the law with temporary contracts or without competition. There are several reasons that facilitated the use of public resources as clientelistic patronage in Albania. Firstly, according to the theory, the degree to which governing parties can obtain private benefits from public state assets is constrained by robust competition. And to measure this, Annalise Malabus used as an indicator the average number of parliamentary questions asked by each party representative in parliament. But in Albania happened that in February 2019, the major opposition parties withdrew from the parliament, so they didn't have the possibility to make a robust parliamentary opposition, and the situation became more critical with the decision to boycott also the local election of 2019. During the parliamentary election of 2021, the Socialist Party controlled not only the parliament, but also the local government units, so having an unprecedentedly large resource in the state since the fall of communism. Also, I'm sorry, I have some problems. Secondly, in Albania, working in the public administration is considered very attractive since it offers better working conditions and higher salaries than most private sector jobs. Thirdly, the privatization of services was often contracted through clientelistic linkages, and studies show that businesses provide funds for electoral campaigns in exchange for future public procurements. And finally, the civil society organizations and media scrutiny are weak. In Albania, there are concerns about the freedom of media. And according to international reports on the parliamentary elections of 2021, media outlets often serve as lobbying platforms for their owners. Journalists remain vulnerable to pressure and corruption. And there is this long-standing and widespread practice of the main political parties and public officials to provide media with pre-recorded footages of their activities. There are politicians does not consist only of the control of politicians over the bureaucracy through appointments and dismissals, because Peter Peer said that there are other strategies. Two are the most important. The first is using ideology and leadership to mobilize the public service, and the second is using means of fear, such as loss of employment, demotion, transfer. The first strategy in Albania started in 2018 with a program that was Administration We Want, and this kind of politicization It is the orientation of the administration to align the public employees with the government political program and main policies is considered normal and even necessary by scholars of public administration because it is natural for government to try to elicit a keen response from the bureaucracy for its political program and policy implementation. Meanwhile, using mean of fear is more problematic. And according to international reports and observation during the elections, many civil servants that are a group vulnerable to pressure were encouraged to vote for the ruling party. Also, according to INIMA, interlocutors raised the issue, among others, of abuse of state resources, vote buying, along with numerous allegations of pressure on state employees. I also checked the media coverage of the electoral campaign. And first, in September 2020, the main opposition party accused the ruling party that distributed a form that had to be filled by each employee in the public sector, where they had to collect names, IDs, and telephone numbers of friends and relatives who would vote for the ruling party. And this was considered a form, an indirect form of pressure, not only for the employees, but also for their friends and relatives. Second, during the electoral campaign, a data set of around 900,000 voters from the capital was leaked, so it was of public domain, where there were names, IDs, and also the voting preference for the previous two elections. And this leaking of sensitive personal data of 900,000 Albanian citizens before elections, including their political preference, was of serious concern and made voters vulnerable to pressure. But there have been also declaration of party candidates during the electoral campaign. For example, I put two declarations here. One was from a government minister and candidate of Tirana, whom declared in an interview on the national television, imagine if the Socialist Party goes into opposition, the main blow won't be suffered by the Socialist Party in peace. It will be felt by the people who, for many reasons or reasons at all, will be fired from their job. And the Prime Minister made a declaration regarding teachers and nurses, saying that while they have entered with merit, they must defend it, so they must defend their position by voting for the ruling party, because with a vote in unknown direction, they go in unknown directions. So these declarations can be considered as a form of indirect pressures that people working in the public administrations had to vote in the ruling party. If not, there would be a change of government and they would lose their job. Thank you.
Thank you, Nigella, for this wonderful presentation. And can I ask you one thing, like how long did it took you to complete your research journey?
I'm working since a year now about politicization of the public administration. not only related to the elections, but since the 90s. So when Albania transitioned to democracy, and this phenomena started in our country, and this is part of my research, more focused on one elections, that is that of parliamentary elections of 2021.
That's good to know. And anyone who has a questions can put their questions in the chat box. And once again, thank you, Nigella, for addressing all of us with your informative and enlightening speech. Moving forward with our next presenter, Marcela Abudu. She's from Institute of Management, University of Szczecin, Poland. Her topic is developments in entrepreneurial competence literature towards the future of work. Marcela, hello.
Thank you.
So you can start your presentation.
Are you able to see my PowerPoint presentation?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you for giving me the opportunity in the ISBEL Amsterdam 2026 conference. I'm a doctoral candidate in the University of Szczecin from Poland, Marcela Rio Abudo, and today I will be sharing with you developments in entrepreneurial competence, looking at the future of work. I'll just start by saying that over the past 2 centuries, we have seen a lot in terms of structural transformation from various inventions and innovations that have been taking place across board globally. And currently, as we have shifted from the first industrial revolution to the second, the third, and currently experiencing the industry 4.0, we are seeing a concept that is defining a lot of shift in products, in production systems across designs, operation processes, new business models, and even industry structures are changing. In this era of disruption, entrepreneurial competence is the unique ability to turn these scientific breakthroughs that we have been having as innovations into scalable ventures. So just what motivated my study is that one, there is lack of universally agreed upon standards whenever we are talking about entrepreneurship as a concept, and there has been a big gap between academic theory and whatever is practiced in the industry. Also, interest in educational development. Such study helps in designing modern academic courses and in-practice training in both our institutions of higher learning, tertiary education, and even in the job training. Finally, there has been an absence of the entrepreneurial function. If we are looking at earlier studies of entrepreneurship, traditional classical and neoclassical economic theories only explained the economic aspect and considered entrepreneurship as one of the add-ons, and it was never the center of a study. So I followed systematic literature review, and you can see a Prisma model. The timeline of the publications I focused on from 1970 to 2025. And this vast number of years is because there was relevance for historical early literature from 1950s, 1970s, and currently looking at the future of work, there was more focus on literature talking about digital transformation, industry 4.0, issues to do with AI, environment, and so on. So moving straight to my findings, what is the historical evolution of the thought? of entrepreneurial competence. And I must mention that entrepreneurship has had its share of contribution of researchers from various disciplines, including administration, cultural anthropology, finance, psychology, having a wider share. And this has led to variation in research dimension, in methods, approaches that have been used, traditions, and even perspectives. So looking back initially at the works of Cantillon 1755 from the timeline that you can see, Cantillon had the first literature on the nature of trade, Adam Smith on the wealth of nations, which is a very popular writing. Then we have the works of Karl Marx mentioning capital as a power base in economies, and the Weberian school of thought that introduced businesses as big institutions, what we have today as corporations, and the kind of bureaucracy that are meant to run this big institution. So looking at just the first four in the timeline, there was more focus on economic theory rather, and not entrepreneurship. But they introduced an entrepreneur as someone who is an undertaker of a project, one who has been employed by a capitalist, an investor, and is in charge of ensuring that dynamics between production of inputs and what you give as outputs in terms of selling and pricing will result into maximum surplus, what we know today as profit. So an entrepreneur was seen more as someone who organizes the three factors of production, which is land, labor, and capital. Then Schumpeter introduced a new twist to it all, and he introduced an entrepreneur as a creative destructor, one who introduces a new way of doing things. He first mentioned the concept of what we know today as innovation and technological advancement. So he termed an entrepreneur as someone who introduces new products, new markets, new methods of doing things, and even new organization of the resources that are available. Then the works of Krisner added on to the works of Schumpeter, and he introduced an entrepreneur with a unique characteristics of one who is alert to market imbalances, one who seeks to equip themselves with information on how the state of affairs is out there in the market, and will take advantages of opportunities that have not been seen by others. So today we know this as being equipped in terms of data and innovation, information, and also knowledge. Then the works of McClelland shifted differently onto a different direction, and it pegged more on behavioral science, and he introduced an entrepreneur as someone who has special psychological traits with need for achievement as a motivator of why they are getting into business. So later on, the works of Boazis built upon the works of McClelland and introduced the first concept of competency in 1982, later to develop to what now we see as entrepreneurial competence. And he set on the foundations of such studies, and he defined he defined competency as skills for performance. So how can we define entrepreneurial competence? It's a standard of an entity's observable output influenced by a set of various indicators. These indicators can be skills, knowledge, abilities, with a variation of cognitive skills, interpersonal, intellect, practical skills, and sometimes even ethical values from our background that affect performance. But one thing that is coming out from studies is that entrepreneurial competence can be developed over time because it's malleable in nature. behavior can be influenced, attitude can be improved, and knowledge can also be increased. So why are we saying that entrepreneurial concept is fuzzy in nature? Is that there is no one agreed definition of the concept. However, on one side, we see competency being defined as input, an underlying set of attributes inside an individual, inside an entrepreneur, and this includes attitude, behavior, and knowledge. And on the other side, we see literature also defining competence as an output, the standard of a performance or results that are to be achieved from specific organized activities. So moving on, what are the three constructs of entrepreneurial competence? And we see it in three phases. So we have one behavior-oriented construct, and we are seeing them develop into a staircase kind of phase, because initially the early literature based their works purely on behavioral science. But as years go by, we see that there has been a shift and a transition that is moving to phase 2 and to phase 3. So phase 1, behavior-oriented construct, focuses on the person, and early literature is trying to view competence as a narrow set of attributes driving an individual towards the result. So whoever is using this kind of definition or foundations for their work will define competence as capacity to meet job demands, and the kind of psychological traits they have in them are observable, they are measurable, and they can be used to predict their superior performance, and why we call these people successful entrepreneurs. At the end of it, we see there is a profile card, there's a profile of an entrepreneur where we can say that they have traits of risk-taking, they are intrinsically motivated, need for achievement, and so on. So these views treats competence as a fixed trait rather than a learnable function, that one is born this way and their competence level cannot be improved so much, or it can't be learned. Then we have the second construct, business-oriented construct, that focuses from the individual and shifts to the venture. And we are looking at competence as a multidimensional set of attributes within a venture, within a business. And the business will engage in activities of identifying opportunities, evaluating whether to move on, invest in these opportunities, capture these opportunities or not, planning and allocation of resources along the way that will eventually lead the venture into a growth. So the approach here is that knowledge, skills, and attitudes are a set that result in sub-competencies manifesting in the areas of marketing of a business, finance, management, operations, making strategic decisions, and so on. So success is measured by the growth and performance of the firm and not just the behavior of the founder. So we are looking at entrepreneurial competence as one that moves a business from an idea, thinking of an idea, screening it, and finally growing from a startup to a fully fledged business. Finally, we have construct 3, value-driven dynamic construct, which focuses now not on the individual, not on the venture, but on the impact, the long-term impact of entrepreneurial action. So entrepreneurial competence is a set of skills that result in targeted actions for sustainability of both the business, the stakeholders, and the society at large. And some of the key areas that pertain decisions from such competencies include risk mitigation, like market risk, financial risk, operational risk, and also adaptability because of the need for continuous resource allocation in an environment that's constantly changing over time. And one key framework and a value-driven dynamic approach is the Entrecomp framework by the European Commission, and it defines entrepreneurial competence as the ability to exploit opportunities and ideas to create value for others by impacting on finances, on culture, and on the societal aspect of communities. So as I conclude, what are the two competing paradigms of entrepreneurial competence? On one side, we see individual trait, and this paradigm is built on the psychological roots of an entrepreneur. It's based on behavioral psychology and follows behavioral science. And the premise is that the entrepreneur is a unique species defined by their personality and background. So it's inbuilt, it's a trait that's inbuilt, and the focus is on intention for their action, intention to start a business, intention to grow a venture, what motivates them, and why. What are these traits that are calling a result to the society or the market, terming these founders as great people? On the other extreme, we are looking at the second paradigm, the venture paradigm, which is built upon the economic process, and it seeks to have entrepreneurship as a function of activities and not a person. So more focus is on business performance, profitability, and the life cycle evolution of a business and not an individual. Like I said, from ideation to a fully fledged business. So in conclusion, when we are talking about the future of work, there is a transition that's happening in research and even in industrial practice, and entrepreneurial competence as a concept is moving from individual skill towards firm strategies. And it's something that's streamlined in different industries, in different economies, in different kind of organization within their life cycle, from the time where they are locating an opportunity to accumulating resources, producing, and even later responding to society and having impact. So Industry 4.0, which is highly defined by AI, cybersecurity, blockchain, issues to do with big data, and so on, is there as innovation. But entrepreneurial competence is coming in with the entrepreneurs and the managers in action to create an equilibrium or a disequilibrium in the market. For things to be done differently, they have to be creative and must have ability for complex problem solving because of the changing nature of the life cycle of businesses. So for me, the parting shot is the human capital is an investment with a higher rate of return than automation alone. So as automation is, we see automation in our markets, in our places of work, we should also strive to develop the human capital that will manage this automation creatively. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcella. It was just a wonderful presentation. I have a one question. So according to you, what are those three entrepreneurial skills one must have?
Firstly, there is need for creativity. because creativity in an individual, it can be initiative. But when we are talking about a business, a market, or a venture, the aspect of creativity will manifest in decision making. So creativity has been termed as one of the most important. Then two, ability, social competence, whereby we are looking at an entrepreneur or even a business not existing in a vacuum, but collaborating with other entrepreneurs, collaborating with other businesses, coming into strategic partnerships. So there is need for social competence. And finally, problem solving, complex problem solving, because there is a lot of uncertainty in the environment, in the business environment. And the open global nature of businesses is resulting into a lot of dynamic pressures that just arise from anywhere. And there is need to be quick and adept in decision making.
That's thank you for answering my questions.
Yes.
And now I would ask all our participants to ask their questions in the chat section. Moving forward with our next presenter, Raina Beladi, Faculty of Economics and Management, IBM Tofel University, Kentra, Morocco. Her topic is perceived corporate social responsibility, work engagement, and organizational citizenship behavior, evidence from a structural equation modeling approach. Hello, Raina.
Hello.
Uh,
1 second so I can share the screen.
yeah, sure.
Do you see the screen?
No,
No?
no,
And now?
still no.
You don't see? Okay, let me try this once. Now?
Yes, it is visible now.
Okay. And now? It is visible?
Yes.
Okay. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending this session. My name is Rania Belaidi, and I am a PhD student at Ibn Tufayl University in Morocco. Today, I'm presenting our research examining how employees' perceptions of corporate social responsibility influence their work engagement and organizational citizenship behavior. So, social responsibility has become a strategic priority for organizations seeking sustainability, legitimacy, and competitive advantage. Beyond its external impacts, CSR plays a crucial role uh, by influencing employees' attitude and behaviors. One important outcome is organizational citizenship behavior, which refers to voluntary behaviors such as helping colleagues or taking initiatives which improve organizational effectiveness. However, previous research has produced inconsistent results regarding the direct relationship between CSR and OCB. This suggests that psychological mechanisms such as work engagement may explain how CSR influence employee behavior. Therefore, our study examines whether work engagement acts as a mediating mechanism. So this study grounded in two major theoretical frameworks. First, we have social exchange theory that suggests that when employees perceive their organization as responsible and supportive, they reciprocate through positive behavior. Second, we have social identity theory that suggests
Diana,
that, yes,
sorry to intervene. Please make your presentation in full screen mode, and
it is in full screen mode.
I guess I'm not able to see it.
No, on my screen, it's full screen.
Okay.
Okay, so to continue, the social identity theory suggests that CSR strengthens employee identification with their organization, increasing their motivation and commitment. Based on this theory, we proposed four hypotheses. The first one is that CSR positively influence work engagement. The second is CSR influence organizational citizenship behavior. The third is that work engagement positively influences OCB. And finally, that work engagement mediates the relationship between CSR and OCB. To test our hypothesis, we conducted a quantitative study using survey data from 200 employees working in public, private, and semi-public organizations. We used validated measurement scales to assess perceived CSR, work engagement, and organizational citizenship behavior. Our responses were measured using a 5-point Likert scale. We analyzed the data using partial least square structural equation model, which is particularly suitable for examining, mediating, and complex relationships
Diana,
between variables. We first evaluated the measurement model to ensure reliability and validity. Composite, yes?
I'm so sorry, but we are unable to see your slides. Could you please do it on full screen mode and
Okay,
to,
let me try all
the
over.
slide?
Are you able to see the screen now?
Yes, we were, but again,
Sorry?
yes, we were, but again, now we are not able to see the screen.
And now? It's not,
Could
I
you
don't
just
know.
reshare again? It's okay, you can take your time.
I can continue like this.
No, we are unable to see the presentation. So it's okay, take your time. Just go to the share button and
Yes.
click on it and select your slide and then start sharing. Yes, yes, it's visible now. Please
What
continue.
should I do now?
Yes, you can press it now. It's visible.
Okay. Um, okay, so we first evaluated the measurement model using reliability and validity. Average variance is corrected values were also acceptable, confirming convergent validity. Additionally, discriminating validity was confirmed using the Fornell-Likert criterion, showing that each construct is distinct from others. These results confirm that our measurement model is robust and suitable for structural analysis. Next, we examined correlations and explanatory power. The results show that CSR is strongly and positively correlated to work engagement. Work engagement is also positively correlated with organizational citizenship behavior. Additionally, the structural model shows strong explanatory power. CSR explains approximately 61% of the variance in work engagement. Together, CSR and work engagement explain approximately 53% of the variance in organizational citizenship behavior. This indicates that our model has strong predictive capability. The structural model results provide important insights. CSR has a strong and statistically significant positive effect on work engagement, identifying that employees who perceive their organization as socially responsible are more engaged in their work. Work engagement also has strong positive effect on organizational citizenship behavior. Interestingly, the direct effect of CSR on OCB is negative and significant. This suggests that CSR does not directly increase citizenship behavior, but instead influences OCB indirectly through work engagement. The mediating analysis confirms this interpretation. The indirect effect of CSR on OCB through work engagement is positive and statistically significant. The confidence interval excludes zero, confirming the mediating effect. This identifies full mediating, meaning that CSR improves citizenship behavior primarily by increasing employee engagement. In other words, CSR initiatives must enhance engagement in order to produce positive behavioral outcomes. In conclusion, this study provides important theoretical and managerial contributions. First, it confirms that CSR positively influences employee engagement. Second, it shows that engagement strongly predicts organizational citizenship behavior. Third, it demonstrates that work engagement fully mediates the relationship between CSR and OCB. These findings suggest that organizations should design CSR initiatives that enhance employees' engagement in order to maximize positive behavior outcome. This study also contributes empirical evidence from a developing country level. Thank you all for your attention, and I welcome all your questions.
Thank you, Raina, for this
You're
wonderful
welcome.
presentation.
You're welcome.
Anyone has any questions, please put it in the chat section. Moving forward with our next presenter, Inoa Guo, student, Cheshire Academy, United States of America. Topic: classical versus quantum behavior in the particle in a box model. Please allow me a moment to present his presentation.
From Cheshire Academy. Today, I'm excited to present my research title, Classical versus Quantum Behavior in the Particle in a Box Model. In this study, we explore one of the most fundamental program models in physics, demonstrate how the understanding of reality shapes when we move from the natural world to the mental world. Introduction. Right in the study of particle in a box, in our daily life, we are used to objects moving predictably. However, as an atomic power, research gave them the infinite potential of the perfect speed, leverage region, and plus possibility combination with the quantum probability. Today, I will approach this gap using two methods: rigorous mathematical derivation and Python-based numerical simulation. To visualize what is otherwise invisible. Let's start with the classical perspective. Imagine a tiny-ball bouncing between two perfectly reached walls of glass and up. According to classical mechanics, this particle moves at a constant speed, reversing direction only when it pushes away. There are two key points here. First, the particle can have many energy. Second, the probability of finding the particle anywhere in boxes is exactly the same. Px equals to 1 over. Now we enter the quantum world. There will not solve the Schrödinger equation because the walls are equal to the same height. The particle has a 0% chance of being outside the ball. This creates a boundary condition. The wave function sign must be 0 and x equals to 0 and x equals L. This is a crucial turning point. The particle behaves like a standing wave, similar to a vibrating guitar string. Solving the equation leads us to our first major discovery, energy compensation. Unlike the classical ball, this quantum particle can only exist at specific discrete energy levels defined by the integer O. The particle can never be at rest, even at a lowest state, which is n equals 1. It has 0.8. The solutions are sign function. What makes this wave special as a node? Points where the wave function is lower. As n increases, the wave oscillates faster, creating more nodes. This introduces a level of spatial complexity that simply doesn't exist in classical physics. Find the particle to look at psi squared. In the quantum world, particles not equally likely to be everywhere. It clusters configuration and question-based general procedure. Right now, what is otherwise used? Let's start with the classical perspective. Imagine a tiny ball bouncing between two reflective rigid walls on one side. According to classical mechanics, this particle moves at a constant speed, reversing direction away from the wall. There are two key points here. First, particle can have any energy. Second, the probability of finding the particle anywhere in the box is exactly the same. Px equals to 1 over. Now we enter the quantum world. Here we must solve the Schrödinger equation because the walls are even so high. The particle has a 0% chance of being outside the box. This creates a boundary condition. The wave function sign must be 0 and x equals to 0 and x equals to 1. This is a crucial turning point. Particle behaves like a standing wave, similar to a vibrating string. Solving the equation leads us to our first solution discovery, boundary compensation. Unlike the classical bond, this quantum particles only exist as single discrete energy levels. Particle can never be identical, even at its lowest state, which is n equals to 1 over, which has 0.5. Solutions are sign functions. What makes this wave special as node? Points where the wave function is 0. As n increases, the wave oscillates faster, creating more nodes. This introduces a level of spatial complexities that simple data exists in classical physics. find the particle, they look at such field. In the quantum world, particle is mostly free and its fastest at peak and the worst one. However, speed of the radar correspondence principle tells us this comes in most of every part to look at that class of the mind. I write off the Python simulation was non-type and non-program. The program calculates theoretical values, but I also use a statistical sampling method to simulate actual measurements. I wanted to see if thousands of random sightings would eventually reveal hidden wave pattern predicted at mass. On this side, you'll see the results for n equals to 1, n equals to 3. At n equals to 1, the particle is most likely in the center. At n equals to 2, the center is a forbidden node. The particle can be left or right, but never in the middle. At n equals to 3, we see 3 distinct peaks. Higher NG leads to more fragmented rotations. This graph shows the most important result. The histogram of random samples converges into the precise shape of the probability density curve. This proves that while quantum events are random individually, they are governed by a strict, deterministic statistic law. This is not just theory. Quantum dots using in modern displays work exactly like this. By changing the box size L, we change the energy levels and the color of light they emit. This also explains how electrons are trapped around the atom. In summary, my research shows the transition from continuity to quantization. Through this model, we see how boundary conditions force the existence of loss and discrete energy. By combining math with Python, we can visualize these truths and build a better intuition for the quantum world. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I'm now open to any questions you may have.
Thank you, for sharing such a wonderful presentation with us. Anyone who has a questions, please put it in the chat box. So concluding the DUG conference today, we have listeners and Philemon Owosu Nikitia from Credit Engineering Services, Kumasi, Ghana. Emmanuel Nimu, Credit Engineering Services, Kumasi, Ghana. And Seth Akufo, Credit Engineering Services, Kumasi, Ghana. Thank you all. With great pleasure, enthusiasm, I would like to conclude that the conference was a great success. Many people have contributed in different ways to turn this event into a smoothly running conference with every interesting presentations. This conference has resulted in good discussions and networking. I owe my gratitude to all the presenters and patient listeners, to the coordinators and the whole staff of Eurasia Research for their constant support. I would also like to thank all the universities and institutes who have sponsored our participants and people who have directly or indirectly contributed in the smooth conduct of this conference. Please note our upcoming conferences. Eurasia Research conduct conferences around the world. In March 2026, we are having in Singapore and Melbourne. In April, Tokyo, London. In May, Kuala Lumpur and Beijing. Please refer to your friends and colleagues. Thank you. Anyone has a question?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I'm having a problem with the email. Can you please give me an email that is working and
Yes, sure. You can email us at convener@eurasiaresearch.info. I will
can you
ask
please write it in the discussion in the chat?
Yes, Edwin, please mention the email ID in the chat box. Anybody else who has a question?
And for the certificates,
Yes, certificates and receipts will be shared to all the participants via email in 2 to 3 business days.
they will have the names of the co-authors also, or should I ask for it?
See, the certificates, co-authors will receive certificates if they have registered in the conference. And if they have not, then definitely in their paper, the names will be mentioned.
Because I mentioned their names in the paper.
Yes, in
So
paper, their names will be mentioned, but certificates will only be provided to the
to the
participants.
author.
Yes,
Okay, I got it. Thank you very much.
you're most welcome. And anyone who has a question? Okay, so thank you all for joining us today, and I would like to conclude this conference here. Thank you, and hope to see you at our future conferences. Bye-bye.
Hello.
Yes, Safe.
Um, good. I don't know. It's morning over here. Please, I would like to ask, what you just show the upcoming conferences, and I
Yes,
wanted to find out. Yes. But I had a network issue, so I couldn't record it.
you want me to share the screen again?
Yes, please.
Just give me a moment.
Okay.
Our conferences in March,
Okay.
Singapore, Melbourne, in April, Tokyo, London, in May, Kuala Lumpur and Beijing, and in many upcoming months, we'll be having multiple conferences at various locations. You can email us at convener@Eurasia@Eurasia Research.info for any conferences or related to any location or any theme.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Anybody else has a question? Okay, so I would like to conclude the conference here. Thank you everyone for joining us today. See you again at our future conferences. Bye.